Good day, outstanding kids. You're welcome to today's lesson. I trust you're fine, you're doing great. Now, the topic for today is on cultural preservation. Cultural preservation. Now, get yourself set as we begin. Culture is the way people live. Therefore, every community, society, and organization has a culture. Now, every group have their customs or belief, which has formed part of their unique culture. Now, for example, a school might have a culture of excellence, where all teachers and students strive to excel in everything. Now, because of this culture they have, culture of excellence, they will want to do their very best to make sure they excel in everything they do. Also, a family can have a culture of love. Now, because of that culture, anytime they come across anybody, they must show the person love, no matter the tribe or where the person comes from. Also, a group of people who form an orphanage may have a culture of charity. So you see, every group, every community, every society and organization has a culture. Now, I would want us to look at the meaning of cultural preservation. Cultural preservation, what does it mean? Cultural preservation is the act of keeping and restoring past history for the present and future generation. Cultural preservation is the act of keeping and restoring past history for the present and future generation. Now, like we know, we say culture is the way a group of people live, their belief and their custom. Now, culture is a fluid. It is not static. Now, what I mean by culture is a fluid is that culture changes over time. Culture changes over time, especially from generation to generations. Now, when this culture changes, sometimes good customs may be forgotten, while bad customs may be picked up. Therefore, this is why we must preserve our culture. So when culture is preserved, people will learn and appreciate past culture. Now, let's take a look at this. At a time in the old, twins were considered as abomination and the babies would be thrown into the forbidden forest or evil forest. That was a culture at the old time. But now that culture has been changed. Anyone who give birth to twin, the baby is not considered as an abomination anymore. They are considered as gifts from God. So now that culture has been what? Changed. So you see, culture is a fluid. It can change over time. Now let's look at ways to preserve culture. There are some ways to preserve culture. We have five of them here. We're talking about museum, symbols, building, fashion, festivals. So these are some ways to preserve culture. Now the first one we're going to talk about today is museum. A museum is a place where documents, materials, artifacts, and specimens are stored and displayed. Now, in a museum, people visit the museum to explore and learn about different cultures, especially from the past. When they want to get information about a particular culture from the past, they visit the museum. The museum is the best place where they will find things about the past culture. Now there are museums dedicated to different things. We have museum um, on the culture, on the arts, fashion museum, science museum, etc. And also in Nigeria, there are many museums. There are national museums, there are private museums. Like the National Museum um, we have them in Ilori, Ibadan, Kano, and Uyo. Why this National Museum are owned by the government. It is the government. It is the government that owns the um, National Museum. Then when we talk about the private museums, we have example Didi Museum in Lagos. So museum is a place where our culture can be preserved. Now symbols. Symbols. A symbol refers to an object, picture, mark, or image which has a particular meaning for people. Sometimes our people's culture can be captured by a single symbol, as in just one symbol. For example, in Ghana, everyone knows the cloth that's called kente. So you see, it is associated with Ghana, and this is known all over the world. Now, some national symbols in Nigeria are the national flag with green and white color. The green symbolizes agriculture, white symbolizes peace and unity. Another national symbol we have in Nigeria is the coat of arms. Is and the coat of arms has two white horses which represent dignity, while the eagle stands for strength. So these are some symbols in Nigeria that helps to preserve our culture. Now, so sometimes people's culture can be captured by a single word symbol, just like the kente I just talked about. Now, let's move on to buildings. Building. Building also tells a story about our culture. The materials, for instance, mud and clay, used and design all help to tell about the people's culture. For instance, an old building with high cement wall could tell that the people who built it were concerned about their security. You see? Now this is a building, a hut that has been built with mud, a building that is made with what? Mud. Okay, move on to the next, fashion. Fashion. Our clothes and accessories are also part of our culture. Our dressing can easily make people identify what place we are from. Just like dressing helps to identify people. They said the way you dress is the way you will be what addressed. Our clothes can immediately tell of the particular place you are from. Clothes help to identify one's culture. E.g., the ashoke fabric is especially worn by Yorubas, but in the world today, others have started wearing it. But basically, um, ashoke fabric is meant for the Yorubas. Now you can see this fabric. Can say. Okay, we'll move on to the next, which is festival. Festival. A festival is a celebration of a belief or religion, culture, or art, which usually takes place at a regular interval. So, a festival is a celebration of a belief, culture, or art which usually takes place at a particular time. For example, Christmas is a festival and it is being celebrated by Christians, and it's in remembrance of the birth of Christ. Now, Christmas is held every 25th day of December every year. So you see, we said the festival holds at a regular interval. So every 25th of December is Christmas. We also have the Oyo festival. The Eyo festival is an is another culture. It is a festival for making the deaths of kings, for marking the deaths of kings and other celebrated Lagosians. So when the king of Lagos dies, the Eyo festival is what's organized. When other important members of Lagos State dies, the Eyo festival is organized. Now, this is a festival in Africa with masquerade displaying. You can see the masquerade displaying the culture. Okay, now you must note this. We must respect people's belief and tradition. We must respect people's belief and tradition. There are ways in which our culture is similar and different. So not because your culture is different from someone's culture, you don't respect the person's culture. You must respect people's culture and belief, because there are some ways our culture differs, there are some ways our culture is similar. Now, in every culture, they do believe in a supreme God. For instance, the Igbos call their god Shuku, the Yorubas call God Olodumare, Christians call God Almighty God. So you see, every culture has a name they call God. Then, also Christian, they also have a place where they worship. Christian worship in the church, Muslim worship in the mosque, and traditionalist worship in the shrine. So this is what we must note, that we have to respect people's belief and tradition. Now let's look at these interactive questions before we go. Dash is an example of a festival. Dash is an example of a festival. A. Christmas. B. Museum. C. Community. The right option here is A. Christmas. The next interactive question is, why is culture said to be a fluid? A. It changes from time to time. B. It can't change. C. It will change after 100 years. The right option here is A. It changes from time to time. Now our assignments. Answer the exercise on exercise 22 at the back of your textbook. When you're done, take a picture of it and upload to the portal for marking. Hope to see you soon. Remain safe. Bye.